Hey, it's Heather, and welcome to another episode of Adventures in Gardening. If you're new here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you like plants, because I garden 365 days a year, whether it's houseplants indoors or houseplants outdoors, or vegetable gardening or perennial gardening or herb gardening or taking the harvest in and cooking the harvest. We're going to talk about all of those things, so don't miss out. Now today we're going to be doing what I call tablescaping with Tillandsias. All right, it's more than about just setting a pretty table. It's about making it an interesting centerpiece that draws people in to the heart of your home, that is the kitchen. And Tillandsias I have found to be a very easy plant to do that with. Now I change out the tablescape on a regular basis. This time of year, it's going to be a little more elaborate, okay? Because as things are slowing down outside, I have more time to give attention to the things inside. So I've really thought this through on what I'm going to be doing today. I have all of my components here. Now, tablescaping is one of those things that, you know, it doesn't have to be just for when company comes or just when you're expecting a large crowd. So I like to have a tablescape or that welcome homey feeling to my kitchen, whether it's just my husband and I or just my kids coming over. I want to make people feel special when they come into my home and have something to look at. So that's my goal here, okay? So even if no one ever sees this besides you guys, that's okay. I'm okay with that. So I'm going to be talking about Tillandsias in just a moment and how to care for them, but I want to show you the components that I have. I have a big board that I'm going to be bringing in, and I'll show you that in a couple of minutes. So here's what I have. Okay, so if you watched the video of that my sister and I did, where we did the leaf casting, okay, this is one that I made off camera. This is a horseradish leaf that I did. Okay, so go back and watch that video if you're interested in leaf casting, because these make great bowls for the center of a table as well as decorations for outside. Now here in Connecticut, your leaves are all dead now, or you know, for the season they're dead. But if you live a little further south, you can probably still pull this off for the holiday season. So this was the biggest horseradish leaf that I could find, and I made a bowl, and that's what my Tillandsias are going to go into. Now I also went out and I collected some leaves while they were still in full color. Some oak leaves and some hydrangea leaves. So what I did was I pressed them between newspapers and put a heavy book on top of them, and then I just used Mod Podge to preserve them a little longer. How long will they last? I don't know, but they're going to last for as long as I need them to this year, but it'll be interesting to see if they last a little longer. Now some of them curled up after I put the Mod Podge on, but I thought, you know, that's kind of cool because that's how the leaves look outside. So yeah, kind of cool. So I've got the dried leaves, I've got my bowl, I've got candlesticks that my friend Mavis gave me that I'm going to be using, so pretty. And I've got some beeswax candles that my daughter and I made. I have a bunch of these that we hand dipped these, so we'll be using those. And oh, I have some marigolds that I dried. I'm not really sure if I'm going to be using those this time. So let's talk Tillandsias, or air plants as they are commonly known, okay? So they come in all different sizes, from teeny tiny to really big. This is my favorite one. I got this one at the Boston Flower Show probably 3 years ago or so. Remember flower shows? I hope we can go to flower shows again. I have a lot of different sizes, a lot of different textures. Now the air plants that have more of a silvery look to them, okay, they can take more sunlight than ones that are, than ones that are more glossy or green, all right? All of these, however, are going to be happy in a bright room that get some rays of sunshine away from the window. All right, my kitchen, and the reason for all the different lights here, my kitchen has east, south, and west windows. The place where the Tillandsias are going to be sitting is about 5 feet away from the southern window, and they do very well there. So Tillandsias do like sunlight. They also like to be watered on a regular basis, and yes, you can miss them, but I have found if you want them to live a long time, because some of these are 6, 7 years old, and I've had them that long. And so, just clean it up a little bit. So they like to be dunked. I have found that they like to be dunked. Now, they'll tell you that you should take and soak them, 3 to 4 hours once a week. I probably do it every other week, honestly, and they do just fine. Now, when your air plants are too dry and they're really thirsty, they will take and actually tighten up a little bit and become very stiff. And the opposite, when you've kept them too wet, they'll be a little floppy, okay? So that's how you know. So even though, you'll see it in magazines and on Pinterest where people have got their air plants, on a bookcase someplace, that's fine if you're going to treat it as a bouquet of flowers, and there's nothing wrong with that. It is a temporary plant. It's not going to thrive in that location. If you want your air plants to live a long time, then you want to give them what they need, okay? So air plants are epiphytic plants. It means that they grow and they don't really have roots that they need to go into soil. You will see them like in the little armpits of trees, like in Florida. So they're kind of growing off or attached to another tree, but they're not taking and stealing the nutrients from that tree, all right? They're just kind of hanging out and using that whatever they're growing on as a support. And the times when I have visited Florida, and I'm just in awe, because the things that I love as houseplants here, they're all over the place outside down there. And I always think that there's a natural process that's happening with the air plants, a natural process of renewal and decay. Yeah, and so all of this, this that I don't like to see, that's a natural process. But as a houseplant, I like to keep them cleaned up, okay? One more thing on the watering for your air plants that you should know. So your air plants are covered with tiny, tiny little scales called trichromes, all right, that they take and they actually absorb the water through those scales. So the first thing that I'm going to do today is I'm actually going to clean these air plants up. I'm going to get a pair of scissors and I'm going to take all of the brown tips off of them and pull off all of from the bottom here. You see what I'm doing? I'm just taking and just cleaning it up a little bit because I don't want to see all of this brown here. Let me just go grab a pair of scissors. Okay, so I'm just going to cut off these parts that are brown that have gotten damaged. So there are some great places online to buy your air plants from. I like Rainforest Flora, and the reason that I like them is because if you go on Facebook, they're very knowledgeable and they have a lot of videos that you can learn about air plants, because I'm just giving you the bare basics here on how to care for them. Some people will use, rainwater to water them with, and I usually, if it becomes too complicated, you know, I don't really have time for that, but I've found them to be extremely easy to care for. So the way that Tillandsias grow is they have the mother plant, okay, the main plant when you buy it. And as time goes by, it starts to produce these little offsets. Can you see these little guys here? Okay, you can see it almost looks like a little miniature of this big one right here. No, no, Rose, no, no, honey, go on, later. All right, and so when they get big enough, I will go ahead and pull them away, but now's not the time. But I'm just going to go through and clean up. Boy, this is a cute one. You can see the little babies down there. And some of them I'll cut. I had the Tillandsias in a window on top of a curtain rod for the summertime, kind of out of the way, and some of them have suffered for it, but they'll be fine. This is one of my favorites. Look at this. Can you see that? And you can see the new plants coming off the side. See them? I don't know if this one wants to be cleaned. Maybe a little. I'm just going to trim these off. With my dull scissors. I will trim them off with my dull scissors. All right, well, we're just going to leave this guy. Now these really, they did not have a nice summer because they used to be super long. I'm not sure what the botanical name is, but I think they were called, I don't know, foxtails, or maybe I called them foxtails, I don't know. But there's a couple that you can see what I mean. Let me see, where are they? Oh yeah, this one right here. Look. So all that's left here that's growing are the tips. So I'm just going to pull these tips off. And I'm actually going to throw this part away. And they'll just start growing again. Itty bitty. But they're supposed to look like this. but they were all much longer, like little curly cues. This one I took off of one of the other ones. I don't remember which one, but this is actually one of the babies. And this one just looks good all the time. I love it. All right, so let me clean up my mess and then we're going to start assembling everything on the table. So I've taken and put everything on the chairs so I can get to it easily. Just going to wipe this table down. Okay, so this I could just as easily use a table runner, but this is a tree slab that we got from a local mill, and my father-in-law finished it for me. He did a great job. It's super smooth, and it's got the live edge on it here. Oh, I don't know if you can see. All right. See, he did a great job. And I love that it curves. So I'm going to protect the slab with these little pieces of felt. So I'll put those down here. The biggest ones in first. Remember what I said, the more silver they are, the more sunshine that they like. The sun is coming from this direction. So ones that are like this, that are glossy, I'm going to go ahead and stick them on the opposite side. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and use some of my leaves like this. Okay, and I forgot that I had these like gourds and butternut squash that I wanted to use, and the little ghost munchkins that I grew in the garden this past year. So I just want to stick these in somewhere. So this is my tablescape that'll carry us through the end of November this year. We've got the wood slab as a table runner, and it's cut to fit the table. I've got my bowl full of Tillandsias, my concrete bowl. I've got my leaves that I Mod Podge, my gourds, my candlesticks and beeswax candles. So thanks for joining me today. Hopefully you've been inspired to try your own tablescape. Use what you have. Gather your plants. Get a pretty tray or a platter or a runner. Go get some moss from outside. Artfully arrange them, even if it's just for yourself, because life is an adventure and it should be pretty along the way. Give me a thumbs up if you've enjoyed watching this episode, and subscribe so we can stay in touch and you don't miss out on the next adventure in gardening. See you soon.